Now to the latest in our series of reports on the high cost of living in Maine. From utilities to housing, Mainers are feeling priced out of even the bare necessities. Tonight we're talking about dynamic pricing. The first time you may have heard of this was when fast food giant Wendy's announced it was going to implement it this year, but then had to walk it back after consumer backlash.
The truth is, many chains like McDonald's, Burger King, and Starbucks are already using dynamic pricing, which is basically raising prices during the busiest times and lowering them during slow times to change customer behavior. It's also being done across other sectors like cruise lines, hotels, even Uber and Lyft drivers are doing it. Now lawmakers in Augusta are aiming to get ahead of the dynamic pricing curve by introducing bills to protect consumers. But as News Center Maine's Caroline LaCour reports, it's been an uphill battle for those in favor of those safeguards.
The price of a product you pick up in store may be changing based on your location, time of day, or even based on your previous buying habits. That's the reality some lawmakers in Augusta are anticipating.
They're already being used in other parts of the country. I think it would be foolish to think it won't happen here.
In just this session, a handful of bills have been introduced that look to protect consumers from what is known as dynamic pricing, arguing it's much more than just supply and demand.
To me, this is a question of fair market practices versus unfair market practices.
Representative Mark Mallon is one lawmaker proposing legislation to safeguard transparency in stores, arguing that dynamic pricing should be considered a violation of the Maine Unfair Trade Practices Act. Traditional discounts would still be permitted.
That makes it so much harder for the consumer to be able to plan for their family budgets.
Another bill introduced by Senator Matty Daughtry would do something similar by preventing large chain stores from changing pricing more than once in a set time period when there's a sudden demand for goods.
Prices do change fairly frequently based on a number of factors. It could be supply chain issues, it could be weather in other areas.
Both bills failed in committee after harsh criticism from Maine's hospitality and business leaders on what the bills could mean for stores looking to be competitive.
Yeah, we think these bills are a solution looking for a problem. This is not a problem here in Maine.
Curtis Picard of the Retail Association of Maine says restrictions to price changes could hurt consumers even more, like discouraging seasonal markdowns or loyalty pricing.
But I'm glad we raised it because I don't think the issue is going away.
Although it's been an uphill battle, Mallon says he plans to continue the conversation around the new era of pricing so Maine consumers don't pay the consequences. Caroline LaCour, News Center, Maine.